morning. I hope everyone is having a good start to their day. I hope everyone had a good weekend. Today we're going to cover several things that are happening in games, news, and culture. Real quick, let's go over that. We're going to start off with talking about Black Ops 4, and the recent leak that happened last week, I think Thursday last week, and everything that has to do with that. And we're going to talk about how the market's reacting to that news and how the market's reacting to the success of the Battle Royale genre specifically. Is it really good or is it really bad? We're going to talk about GoW4 for a little bit. And then I'm going to do something that I plan on doing a lot in the future, which is promote indie games. And we're going to talk about 3 Pacific games that are currently on Kickstarter that I think deserve proper attention. So I hope everyone is having a good start of their day. And this is Gatorcast for April 23rd, 2018. Well, let's start off with talking about this leak for Black Ops 4. There's so much to cover here. It's daunting. First off, the biggest thing is that the reveal, or the leak, I should say. I mean, they could reverse this, but it seems like it's a pretty solid leak that there's going to be no single player campaign in the next Black Ops 4. And at first, when I first heard this, I was kind of thinking, well, it's not really that big a deal. I mean, I personally play the single player campaigns, but the meat of this franchise for years has been the multiplayer, and that's what people come for. That's what the bulk of the player base plays. I mean, there's still a lot of people who play the campaign, but the multiplayer is, I think anyone rationally can argue that's the meat of the game. But then I slept on it, and then, recording the footage you see that I'm running here, the footage here is the Black Ops 3 campaign. And as I thought about it and let it actually digest, I really thought this is really, really bad news for gamers. I mean, this is really, really bad. And, let me explain what I mean by that. As I'm playing the campaign, I went back and I started at the beginning. I'm playing the campaign, and I'm, getting introduced to the Black Ops 3 world and its weapon systems and, its mechanics. That's usually, I think, the simplest, reason why the campaign's important is for those new players, because not everyone has played every Call of Duty. But then I thought about the artistic quality of the campaign with, like, the voice actors that are involved, the motion capture, the story. And, Black Ops 3 has several actors that are involved that are just, if you're a fanboy or you are into different, sci-fi genres, you're blown away by this cast. There's Christopher Maloney. He's been in all kinds of things. Katie Sackhoff, Ron Perlman, Jeff Goldblum, Christopher McDowell. The male protagonist is voiced by Ben Browder, who's, famous for Farscape. And it made me think, man, this really sucks, because the campaign and story modes, have had some really, really talented people involved. Obviously all the people behind the scenes doing the coding and the art, but then the voice actors from, people like Matt Mercer and all the people I just mentioned, and it's just kind of sad. You're thinking, like, wow, why is this happening? Why are they dropping the campaign? And it's pretty, I hate being negative. My whole philosophy about this, about my website and my channel and everything, is the joy of gaming, which is to highlight the positive and the fun things about gaming. But this is just bad news. And this is all because if I could blame one thing, I want to blame PUBG. This is because of PUBG. This is because of how much money PUBG and Fortnite are making, that every game company is losing their fucking minds on just basically like how can we shoehorn a battle royale mode into our game. And it makes sense with Call of Duty. It's a first person shooter, and PUBG is a first person shooter, and Fortnite's a first person shooter. Granted, they're hybrids because they're battle royale, and Fortnite's got the building mechanic. But then I thought, like, this is I talked about this in an earlier podcast. Like, is battle royale going to start ruining games? And I think we're at that point now. We're seeing game companies make decisions where they axe complete facets of their game because they want the piece of that golden goose of battle royale money. And fine, but don't give us less. Now, if Call of Duty Black Ops 4 comes out and it's a lower price, or their battle royale is a free to play mode, like kind of like how Epic did with Fortnite, then I will roll back what I'm saying. But if it's coming out at a $60 price tag, and it has the multiplayer and it has this battle royale, then they have digressed. And this is exactly what I feared, is that we start seeing games quality suffer because game developers and publishers are losing their minds trying to get some of that battle royale money. I mean, if you didn't know, in China there is a online Call of Duty, and it already has a battle royale mode. It's only like 18 players, I think, and it's just wow. And then I'm even leaving out this other part. There's the other part of the leak was that playtesters, and you can go check this out on the website charlieintel.com. Charlieintel.com. It's no relation to Gator 6 Charlie, but I like the name charlieintel.com. They did an article where they talked about the rumor, and they got a confirmed source. They say that basically the playtesters felt that the Call of Duty Black Ops 4 multiplayer was trying to be like Overwatch. They got rid of perks, and they went really heavy on these kill streaks, and it just didn't feel or play or seem like a Call of Duty. And it just makes me go, wow, like we have gotten to the point where Hollywood does this when like a apocalyptic movie comes out about a meteor hitting a planet, then like all these studios raced, and that movie makes money, then all the studios race to try to make a knockoff movie of that. This is what's happening in gaming and AAA gaming. Overwatch is successful, PUBG is successful. So instead of making your game and what makes your game special, let's be derivative and like make our version of what makes money, because that's all we can do. We can't actually push out original idea, and that's bad. That's really bad, and it makes me sad to see this kind of decision making. It's I understand it's not a charity. We got to make, companies make games to make money and make profit. They got, Activision has shareholders they're responsible to. I get that, but this is just, I mean, what we're going to start seeing is we're going to start seeing games across the board. Platformers make battle royales. I mean, it's just, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think I'm being over dramatic? Do you think the good riddance to the solo campaign? Did it? Were you one of those people who hated it? What are your thoughts? I like to know what you think. Either contact me on Twitter or let me know down in the comments. And by the way, all these articles I have mentioned and source of stuff, I have a link down there for you to look at if you want to. Moving on. Let's talk about GoW4, and apparently it is. I've only looked at it and dabbled a little bit because I have a confession to make. So please don't hate me. Please don't judge me. I acknowledge first off with this disclaimer that the GoW4 games and the newest one are amazing games, and the franchise is probably one of the most influential franchises in games. It's a cornerstone, monolithic franchise powerhouse for Sony and the PlayStation. But with that said, I have never been a fan. I've never really been able to engage in those type of games. And that's like, when I say that, I mean, the games like, Devil May Cry and Nier and, obviously God of War, those kind of hack and slash kind of adventure games. They're just, for me personally, it's just a genre that I'm not really into. I don't really enjoy. And on a side note, see, I think when I say that, not to pat myself on the back, but I think it's an important distinction if you talk about something, from, in my regards, gaming, or if you're a movie critic or a food critic. It's very important for you to understand what your blind spot is. And for me, it's those kind of games, the Devil May Cry's, the God of War type games. That's my blind spot. But I know it. I know that they're not bad games. It's just a subjective taste thing for me. Now, with that said, here's my greater point and why I'm bringing this up, is that I feel that this happens more often in gaming criticism, where people don't realize that they don't like a certain type of genre, and then they unfairly grade it because of their subjective taste. Take a more direct, extreme example of the point I'm trying to make here. Take, for example, like something like Madden or FIFA. Now, I know there's people out there who just can't stand Electronic Arts, so there's no point even talking about. But there are people who really love football, soccer. Americans call it soccer, but football and American football, Madden and FIFA. There's people who love those sports games. They love those sports. They love the whole sports world. The licensing, and they really truly are huge fans of those games. But I've seen people review those games where they actually hate the sport so much that it actually blinds them to being actually objective on reviewing the game. Now, that's just on one aspect of sports, but that actually happens a lot and across all kinds of genres, where I see someone review a game, or some YouTube personality or some mainstream reviewer on one of these, big sites like Kotaku and Polygon, where it's very obvious that they're playing a game that it's not a kind of game that they would enjoy, and they absolutely trash it because they don't have the professional restraint to realize, hey, this is a taste thing, and maybe this game is better than what I think. And you also see it with games like, Kingdom Come Deliverance, even though it had a very buggy release, and it still has some bugs. It was a groundbreaking game, but you see the bias and the lack of objective truth being applied to that criticism of a game like that. You see it in Sea of Thieves. You see it with sometimes you see it with grindy action RPGs like Diablo-esque type games, where people hate grinding, and then they review that game and they go, oh, this game is just repetitive grinding, not understanding what loot-based grinders are about. And so therefore they give a very what I would say unbalanced review and criticism. So that's what God of War makes me think about. I feel like if I am going to speak on games, I have a responsibility to at least understand my blind spots. And it's very obvious that God of War is this new one is an incredible game, and I will play it, and I will finish it. But it's just not the type of game that I get into. I've just never been into those kind of action type games. It's just me. But I digress. Moving on. And by the way, what do you think about that? Do you think that you can't be passionate about gaming culture? Do you think I should just stop what I'm doing because I don't really enjoy the God of War franchise? Is that nuts? What do you think? Let me know. And by all means, don't hold back. I love to know what you thought. But anyways, moving on. I want to talk about 3 games that are currently on Kickstarter that just have a couple weeks or 2 or 3 weeks left to them, and I think one of them is actually fully funded, but they have stretch goals, and they're all 3. They're different types of games. The first one I want to talk about is, and by the way, I'm going to put all the links to these games in the comments, so if you want to check them out and support them, please do. I'm not being paid. I don't personally know any of the people behind these games, but I have been following them closely, and I have to say that they're incredible games. Last Epoch is a action RPG in the same vein of Path of Exile, Diablo. Um, it's a hack and slash loot based game, and I actually spent some time playing the demo last week, and I have to say I am impressed. And this is the demo is a very rough alpha, so it's you can see that there's some polish that's on the just a level design. There's you can tell it is truly a rough alpha demo, but it gives you an idea of what they're trying to do. And I think it's a really, if you're into the Diablo Path of Exile genre, then I highly recommend you check this out. You can download the demo for yourself and try that before supporting them. And I would encourage you to do that. But if you're into those types of games, I highly encourage you. It has, what I think is neat about it, it has a couple different progression systems that are unique to it. And it has, I would say, some very interesting art, has a very unique and I think bright and sharp style that I like. I enjoy Path of Exile, but one of my nitpicky criticisms of Path of Exile, it's a little dark, not in like its content or its story, but actually dark to the eyes. Last Epoch has this visceral brightness to it that really appealed to me, the art style, and so that's what kind of lured me in. And then playing the demo, I was kind of blown away by it. The next game I want to talk about is called Escape Dudeland, and this is developed by a very small indie group, just a few people, and it's a side-scrolling platformer, kind of like in the vein of Cuphead or Mario. But what makes Escape Dudeland so, I think, incredible is its stunning art. It is. I cannot do it justice with words. You really have to go and look at this game. If you like platformers and you want to experience a platformer that you've never seen before, then this, I can't undersell this. This game has it's stunning and incredible artistic look to it. It looks like like a high I would say a high fidelity doodle artistic style. Like, it's basically someone's taken a pen and made doodles, and they've managed to make this beautiful, vibrant, bright, energetic art style, and it looks amazing. So check that out. It's on Kickstarter. I believe it still has a couple weeks left to it. The last game I'm going to talk about on Kickstarter is actually fully funded, but it has a ton of stretch goals that I hope it meets, because it is a very promising game. It's called Sentinels of Freedom. And what Sentinels of Freedom is, it's based off of a comic book role-playing game, like in the vein of D&D, dice. And they have managed to make a digital version of this game. And think of like XCOM, but with superheroes and role-playing themes, where you create your hero and you go out and you do adventures. It also has a very unique and sharp art style to it. It's a very visually appealing game. And secondly, it's being driven by the creators who created this intellectual property, and they're clearly passionate about bringing a quality product to the market. And if you like the turn-based strategy of the XCOMs, but you also like superheroes and like Marvel and DC, then I highly encourage you to check this game out. It looks wonderful. It has all three of these games. One thing I can say about the three games I'm talking about today, they all three have what I would say some serious artistic chops. And so I encourage you. I'm putting the links of all those in the bottom here. I encourage you to check them out. And that's it for today. And thank you for listening. I've gotten a bunch of new support, and man, I cannot understate how much that means to me. I've been at this for several years. I just started with YouTube, but some of you guys know I've had a gaming clubs over the years. I had a very, very popular large gaming club on Xbox with 2,000 members, and so it's nice seeing this transfer over. This is something that I am passionate about, and your guys' support, you guys listening, it means so much to me, and I really, really appreciate you. I hope you have a great day and have a great week, and let me know what you think. Let's talk about gaming. I could do it all day. Thanks a lot. Bye.